Hey, man. You got a joint, man? Skeksis. Skeksies.
Can you make that sound?
Hey, folks. Welcome to the Jake and John Show, the world's greatest podcast ever of all time. I am John, and I'm here with Jake.
Hey.
And what the fuck is up? We're going to talk about some situational awareness because of some shit that happened. I think it was this weekend. Was it Sunday?
It was last weekend.
Was it Sunday?
Sunday. No, it was Saturday, actually. Fuck. Yeah.
I wanted to do the Sunday.
Go ahead and say it anyway.
Sunday.
Yeah, so on last weekend, I took my kid to the Monster Jam, the Monster Truck Show, right? Fucking badass.
Hell yeah.
Right? Well, before the show, you can go to what's called the pit party, which is basically where they have kind of a bunch of the trucks down on the track, and you can go check them out, and you can meet the drivers, and, you know, it's just shit like that, right? It's something for the kids to do. Got those bouncy houses and all that kind of shit. Well, one of the things you can do while you're down there is you can go and take pictures by the trucks, right? Which is pretty cool.
Especially for a kid,
right? So thought, okay, let's go take some pictures next to these trucks. Well, there's no formal line for this. It's basically just kind of this, and everybody's been to something like this where there's something. It's like if you're at a landmark or something, right? There's just kind of a social construct of where you kind of take turns.
Where common sense would tell you.
Yeah. You don't jump in the middle of other people's pictures. You basically just don't be a fucking asshole, right? I mean, it's very, very simple. Well, there's a pretty good kind of self-made line going on, right? I mean, because it's a bunch of families with their kids, and they're taking their kids up and taking pictures. And so my son and I were next in line, and we're waiting, and it's like, okay, the other family's wrapping up. They're taking their pictures and walking off, and we start to walk up. And all of a sudden, this fucking Beverly Hillbillies family, well, I say family, it was the mother and like a couple of kids that are like, you know, it's kind of kids that are like 8 years old and have mullets and fucking cut off sleeve t-shirts and shit. And
yes, and I believe the description of the mom, what did you say that she looked like again?
She was like a total sweat hog. She was like, like a 40-year-old honey boo-boo is what she looked like. And I only mentioned that because the way she looked made me angry with the whole situation, because they just like rolled up in it. It's like, now we can't even take our pictures, and we got these two fucking, I don't even, like, what do these kids look like? I'm trying to paint a picture that everyone can appreciate, but I don't know, like, you know, Kid Rock in the Joe Dirt movie.
Yeah.
Like, imagine that Kid Rock and Joe Dirt fucked and had a kid. That's what these kids look like, right? So, yeah, but they just jump all in there. And I guess the point I'm trying to make is this is a situational awareness issue of not knowing what the fuck is going on around you. Or it's worse, they do know what's going on around them, and they don't give a fuck.
Yeah, well, they basically cut you and your son off because you were walking up, because common sense would say, okay, it's my turn because the person in front of me just went, and they just didn't even look at you. They just basically just walked up in front.
Yeah, right? Yeah. I mean, that bitch just waddled into the picture and was like, oh,
just sweating.
Just sweat. Yeah, I mean, yeah. That's, you know, it's the kind of person that's just like sweating from existing, you know? Yeah. And it's like it directly converting fucking that camel hump into sweat, you know?
Yeah. And you said she had a massive fupa as well that moved as she walked.
Yeah, it's kind of like, and it bounces as you move type of thing, you know? And those, you know, like 1985 stonewashed jeans type thing. Yeah, it's just not a good situation. I mean, I hate to say it, it's a stereotype of what you would think you would see at a monster truck show.
Yes.
Well, yeah. Kind of, right?
But doesn't it make it so much worse if something happens in public like that, a social and situational awareness issue, and they're either really attractive and like a beautiful person that's well dressed, or if they're super ugly and just fat and sweaty?
Well, there might be something to it. Yeah, it might be. It's because it's only those types of people do it. It's either people, A, that like think they're better than everybody else, or B, just have no idea what the fuck's going on around.
Just completely dumb.
Yeah. It's one of the two. I think because your average Joe isn't that person. They're not generally doing that because they know what's happening around them.
Yeah. See, this happens to me all the time. Like, it's hard for me to go to the grocery store with my lady because when people get in my way or I'm trying to get something and it's clear that they see me and they're not moving, you know what I'm saying? They're not moving, so I get my basket down. It only takes a few times and I start to lose my shit. Like we've coded it LYS, you know, and I can't handle it. It's like, just be a nice and considerate person. If I want to get to the fucking Cheetos, move your fucking basket 3 inches. You know,
don't be a fucking minivan on the highway of life. Like,
yes,
get the fuck out of the way.
Yes, that's perfect.
You know, and I came up with that right now. Isn't that pretty good?
That is good.
But this happens. It happens in a lot of different ways. And it's funny that you mentioned that they're either like really attractive or not, because I noticed this same situational problem with the way people drive. And it seems like there's a disproportionate number of like Lexuses and BMWs of people that just like weave traffic and drive like assholes.
Yes.
At least around where I live. It's like, you know, I don't know if it's just every time I notice it, or maybe it's because every time I notice it, every time it happens. But yeah, they're like weaving through traffic, or just they can't wait their turn in line or something like that. It's I look up and it's like, it's a Lexus. You know what I mean? And so you fit this demographic of people.
This is, and okay, where I live, or where I work at more specifically in that region, a lot of fucking rich people. I'm talking people who make hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, and surely many millionaires, right? And again, they're all driving like, you know, $60,000, $80,000 cars. And this happens to me every day when I'm going in and when I'm coming home. It's always a female who's in her 40s that looks like she has one of those plastic surgery faces, like a monster kind of.
Yeah.
And she's just completely oblivious to everything around her, talking on her fucking cell phone, and almost kills me every day. You know, it's a different person, but they're all the fucking same. It's like someone made a prototype and then they just fucking made a bunch of them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, just cloning them. Yeah.
Yeah, and they're just completely oblivious. Like, I think I talked about that before, like that bitch that almost fucking ran over me in the Taco Bell parking lot and then started yelling like it was my fault because she was speeding on her phone and not like looking. You know what I'm saying? And it's just, they're terrible human beings. But that's the thing. Or if they have a really shitty car, sometimes they're like, I don't give a fuck if I bump somebody. I don't know. Or they just hate their life or whatever. You know, maybe something financially bad's happening in their life and they hate everybody, right? Yeah. Same thing. They fucking drive like cunts. It's not good.
It's not. You know, when I went out for lunch today, I noticed, this is another scenario that I think everybody can appreciate. There was someone... Okay, let me explain what the setup looks like. Okay, so there's a shopping center. And so you pull off the main road and there's like an entrance to the shopping center, okay? Mm-hmm. So you go in this entrance. Now, on the right side is a Wendy's, okay? And on the left side is like a little strip mall that has, I think it has like a couple of places to eat and some other shit, right? Well, these two entrances are, I'm going to say, no more than 20 feet off of the road, off the main drag, right? So if you pull into this thing, it makes a whole lot of sense to take a right into Wendy's, right? Because you're not all in the fucking way. Now, there's not a ton of traffic. It makes sense to turn left and go into that strip mall. But if there is a lot of traffic, it makes the most sense to keep going, and you can go up and go around and get to either one fairly quickly, okay? It's like not a big deal at all. But you get these fucking people who want to go from Wendy's to the strip mall,
right?
And it's like it's super. I mean, it's important to know that it's super easy to just drive around. You don't have to try and cut across where the fucking main drag of traffic
endangering
is.
Lives and blocking
it's
traffic.
Not only it's usually blocking traffic. It's usually they pull out just a little too much, so they're like, oh, you know. But in all reality, they know they're blocking the traffic, so you have to fucking wait for their stupid ass, right? And this is one of those things of. I'm about to jump ship here a little bit. So, have you heard this term, or it's a saying, and I want to say that one of the, I think Rahm Emanuel said this. You know who he is, right?
I don't.
He's he used to be one of Obama's dudes over there in the White House, and now he's the mayor of Chicago. Okay, but anyway, not important. It was either him or David Axelrod or one of those dudes said something like, "Never let like a catastrophe go to waste, or never let a bad situation go, or something like that. Right?
Yeah, I get
it.
But
basically, the idea is, if something happens, like jump on that to do something. Right? Well, these are the people who kind of like create those situations in order to exploit them. Right? Like when you pull out just a little too far because the motherfuckers can't go, and you're like, oh, now we have a catastrophe. Nothing can happen except for me to get my way immediately, right? And that's a fucking just a trait that really annoys me. Is, you know what I mean? Because you ever notice this is how assholes get ahead in life? You know what I mean? It's I think it's the way of nature, and I don't think there's a lot you can do about it except just hate on it, right? But like the assholes that do all kinds of weird things driving, where there's lines of traffic and they somehow like go all the way to the end, and they're like, oh, and now I have to get in. Either that, or they're just dickheads and do it, right? But they're actually getting ahead of you in life by being an asshole. You know what I mean? And that's one of those things that sometimes I think life would be so much easier without a conscience. With it, if I didn't have like a somewhat of a respect for social norms and all that, like how easy would life be if you could just be basically like a sociopath and be like, fuck everybody and just like go and do whatever you want. You know what I mean?
But I agree with you 100%. But I also think, and I'm not saying that karma's real in the sense like in some magical fucking, ethereal ghost way or whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
But it's real in the sense that if you're an asshole statistically, if you're an asshole enough, eventually you're going to run into a brick wall. It's going to be the wrong dude on the wrong day or the wrong situation, and you're going to get yourself in trouble. You know what I mean? Yeah,
I agree with you. I think I do believe in karma statistically.
Right.
Yeah. Not as some voodoo, but like as a I agree. If you do the wrong thing enough, it will catch you. But you notice this. I notice this all the time. Like if you notice this with executives of companies and stuff too. Like, I mean, often on TV or whatever, they're really, like, haha, they're good at putting on the show, but like behind closed doors, they're like, you fucking piece of shit. They're like Steve Jobs, just berating people. I guess maybe though at the same time you're trading this like high level of success for anyone liking you legitimately in the world. Everybody's like, what a cunt, but I guess it just depends on how much that matters to you.
Yeah. Well, Steve Jobs died at like 54, right? Something like that.
Yeah, like pancreatic cancer or whatever.
Yeah. And I'm not saying that was karma. I'm sure it's just genetic defects or some kind of cancerous substance he was taking in not knowingly, something like that. But I mean, fuck, dude, you went all that time, you made all that money, and you're all the magazines and famous and all that shit for telling people what to do. Let's be honest. You found the people who knew how to do it, and you were like, let's make Star Trek shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's basically what actually happened. I mean, of course he's smart and he's a great businessman, obviously. But was it worth it, man? And I'm sure people in his immediate family, I assume, loved him, unless he was an asshole to them too. But what kind of life is that, man? Like, I want to have at least like 5 or 6 people that genuinely like me and I like them, and we can talk and do stuff together and share ideas. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Because like with him, it's probably just one-sided all the time. Like, no, you stupid fuck.
Yeah. Just surrounded by yes men.
Yeah. How can you enjoy life like that? I mean, I enjoy winning, but fuck, man, that's not cool.
Yeah,
that's not cool.
That's one of those things that it seems. I don't know. I guess it's impossible for me to truly understand it because I'm not wired like that. Like I'm not a sociopath, right? So, because I think a lot of times people if they're not full sociopaths, they definitely get a touch. You know what I mean? They have something that makes them care less about any kind of relationship or what's going on around them, other than just like ultimate power.
Yeah, I can't. I've gone through phases in life where I've tried to go that route a little bit. Hang on, taco coming up. Damn, fucking we went to that taco place again. Anyway, to where I'm just like, you know what? Fuck everybody else. I want to be first for once. I want to be the fucking winner. Yeah. And you try to do that for a certain amount of time, and it just doesn't feel right. Something's off, and it's not good, and you can see people kind of looking at you different. And it's not for me, man. Because you know how it's a really popular thing in America now to like grind 24/7, bro. Fucking sleep 6 hours a night, no more than that, like that kind of shit.
Yeah, grab it by the balls.
Yeah, and it's like, well, at what point do you enjoy life if all you do is work hard? I mean, obviously, like 99% of people, you see that shit on Facebook. It's like, dude, I know you. You're a lazy fuck, and you want people to think that's who you are, but that's not who you are. But for the people like, let's say Arnold Schwarzenegger, for example, who really do live that life to this day, is like, do you really enjoy life? I don't know, man. I mean, that's a stupid question. He has to, right?
I think so. Like, I think you can. It depends. Like, I won't shit on that totally, only because I believe that your passion can be business. Your passion can be whatever it is you're doing, right? So if you legitimately enjoy that, like that, think of it as it's your hobby, right? It just happens to be your way of making a living as well, right? Like in that situation, I don't think it's that big of a deal. But at the same time, I don't think that that's the people that are like, you know, grind it 24/7 on Facebook either. You know, like I think that's probably actually a separate subset of people that, you know, they don't need to say that, you know.
This is a random thought kind of, but just speaking of Facebook real quick, there's some kind of movie that came out recently. It's pretty new, and it has something to do with like astrophysics and space and shit like that, and it's really popular. Does that bring a bell to you?
No.
I don't know, but this dude I know on there, I know him well, and he put this thing on there about that movie, and he was like, you know, if you understand astrophysics and something string theory and like all this shit, you know, you'll enjoy it more. But if you don't, I mean, I probably wouldn't watch it if I was you. You know, that kind of shit. And I'm like, bitch, you don't fucking know shit about any of that shit. I know you to your fucking core. I know you like your past and everything. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know this motherfucker.
It's like some kind of weird, like passive humble brag.
Yeah, it's exactly what it was. It's like, dude, shut the fuck up. There's no way anybody who knows you believes that. You know what I'm saying?
Dude, there's an epidemic in Facebook, and this may not only be Facebook, this may be social media in general, of people who write inspirational quotes and attribute them to themselves.
Yeah.
Have you seen this? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Like, that have, like, it's always something about, like, challenging through the adversity and getting into, you know, you got to really push to get through this and get to your best level and all this kind of stuff. And
what I see when I see that is projection. I see them, they're projecting what's going on in their own mind because of their own insecurities, but they're trying to make it as if they've overcome that or something, but that's actually what they're dealing with right then. Like, they're at the bottom level. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And they're trying to pretend like they're the mentor or that they know this. You don't know shit. You know what I'm saying?
Well, maybe that's what it is, because I have a hard time relating to it because I've never once had like the desire or need or want to go write like an inspirational quote and attribute it to myself. Like, I've never that's never crossed my mind, you know. And so every time I see this, is very puzzling to me. Is what the fuck are you doing? You know, It's one thing if you were to like put up. I mean, I guess it's really no different than like if you put up a meme of a quote, or I don't know if that's even a meme really, but you know what I'm talking about. If you put up like the image of a quote, it's really no different than that, except for it has the just like the whole. It's not really humble bragging. What is this? Just the audacity, like put your name after it, as if you're like contributing some just great like proverb to the fucking world. You know, like you've joined the ranks of the great philosophers now because you got to get through life every day. You got to wake up in the morning, put your shoes on one at a time. You know what I mean? Like this kind of shit. It's like, fuck off. You know? Just, I don't know, man.
I do. You know, just something just randomly popped.
This hit my hater. This is just hitting it's striking my hater chord right now. Yeah.
No, I'm with you. And you know what fucking really grinds my gears, dude?
What's
and
that?
what really fucking pisses me off, and I've been seeing this more and more lately, is when I go to the goddamn drive-thru at Taco Bell and there's a tip line on the fucking receipt. When I'm going through the drive-thru...
Wait, hold on. Yeah. Just make sure I got this right. At Taco Bell, you get a receipt. You buy your food, you get a receipt, and there's a place to tip.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's like the audacity for you to think that that's even a possibility in my universe. You're out of your fucking mind. I worked at an ice cream shop when I was 14, and I had people just talking shit to me all day because it was in the mall and it was too expensive. They're like, this tastes like shit. I'm not paying that. Because it was like $2.50 for an ice cream cone. And honestly, it was just like regular shit ice cream. You know what I mean?
Yeah, nothing special.
Yeah, and I wasn't getting tips. We didn't have a tip jar out there. Like, you're a piece of shit. You know what I mean? You're either a kid or a piece of shit, or, you know, that's not a good... That's not a nice thing to say. I'm sorry, you're not a piece of shit. What I'm saying is if that's your chosen profession at that time, regardless of what's going on in your life, and you're working that drive-through window or at the counter, you don't deserve a tip. You got to do something else, man. Go where the money is. There's jobs, literally, that are easier than doing fast food, like mentally and physically, that you can get paid like 4 times as much. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But people just don't realize that. I don't, for whatever reason. But either way, maybe it's the stigma. I don't know. But I'm not giving you a fucking tip, dude. I'm never, ever. There's no way.
There's another, and this is another thing that seems to be trending right now. And I've seen this at several restaurants. And I don't know. This is intentional, I think. I'm trying to think it's not intentional, but let's say, because different restaurants work different ways, right? Like if I go to a restaurant and I sit down and I order food, then you provide that service, right? And then at that point, after the service has been provided, I will determine if what I think the service was worth in terms of a tip.
Yes.
And I understand that's the pay structure, so I'm okay with it. I mean, I understand that you make $2 an hour, whatever, and the rest of your money is tips. I understand. I'm okay with that. I know that going in. Now, one of the things that I find weird, and it's usually in a different kind of restaurant sometimes, is when it's the kind of restaurant where you go in and you order your food like at a counter first, and then you go sit down, okay?
Right.
When I go up there and order my food, and you pay before you get your food, and then there's a tip thing on that.
Yeah.
It's like, I went into your restaurant, I walked to the counter, I ordered the food at the counter as your cash register.
And took your drink up there.
And took my drink up there, picked it up, whatever. And then I paid you before, and I haven't gotten any food, no service literally yet, other than someone like operating a cash register.
Right.
And then there's a tip line on it. And it puts you in a weird situation of, what if this food is shit, first of all?
Yeah.
And what if your service sucks? I'm not going to go drop like a 25% tip before that has even taken place. Like, you get the cart before the fucking horse here.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, things are just not happening in the right order. And I've noticed this several times lately, and it's one of those things that this needs to be dealt with early. We got, I mean, I'm sure, and admittedly, I have thrown tips in there before because I'm like, well, fuck, I don't, there's probably not going to be another opportunity, but I don't like this. I don't like this setup, and I feel like you're fucking with tradition and the way that tips are supposed to work, and I don't like it. Fix that.
Yeah, I don't like it either. It's pompous. It's I'm trying to think of this other great word that I like, but I just can't think of it right now. But you're a terrible person. If you're the person who came up with that, you're either a moron or a terrible person. But at the same time, there's a little bit of genius behind it.
Yeah.
Because other people will look at it and be like, well, I don't want to like have them fuck up my food.
Yeah.
Or I don't want to seem like I'm a rude person because the lady at the counter was nice to me. And so I know people do tip. Because it gives you an option for like multiple.
See, as soon as you go cynical and you start thinking that's the design of it for that very purpose, then it pisses me off even more.
I know.
Because it's like, that's all kinds of fucked up. And then there's actually a third scenario I can think of on tipping that drives me crazy. This is if and I do this all the time for like lunch at work, right? I call somewhere and I order food for pickup. So I call on the phone, I order, and then I just go pick up the food. I either pay online or pay over the phone or I pay like at a little desk right when I get there. And then they drop the tip on you again. And it's like, I don't think that's how this works. You know what I mean?
No.
It's how can you any time where you expect a tip and you've literally done nothing? That's silly.
I will say this though: if you go to a regular legitimate restaurant where they bring the food first and then you tip and pay at the end.
Yeah.
And I knew this guy. I worked with him. I guess he's my buddy. Whatever. He kind of was. But we would go places and he wouldn't tip, and so I felt bad because then I felt like I had to tip extra to make up for it,
Okay.
Because you got some like 20-something-year-old, maybe she has a kid, who knows what the deal is, right? I'm not going to stiff her. If we just got like $35 worth of food, she filled up our drinks a few times, was nice to us, that kind of thing. I got to give her some money, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But this guy, he was trying to explain his philosophy to me, and it was absurd. It was like, what's that movie, Reservoir Dogs, where that googly-eyed guy that's in some of the Adam Sandler movies, what's his name? Steve Buscemi?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's really good in that HBO gangster show. What is that? Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
But anyway, yeah. And Reservoir Dogs, I think he's the guy that doesn't tip at the table, like in the beginning when they're all talking about it and shit. And I think he might have stole his idea from that. But he was trying to explain it to me. And I was like, dude, there's no way around it. You're a piece of shit. If you go somewhere like that and you know that that's what you're supposed to do because they're bringing your food, that's the deal you make when you walk in there. You don't have to tip, but you're fucking supposed to, man. And if you don't, you are 100% a piece of shit unless you just had terrible fucking service.
Absolutely. Like, when you go to certain kinds of restaurants, you go in because it's like that's another social construct. When I go into certain kinds of restaurants, I go in knowing that tipping is part of the price. It is part of the cost of eating at this establishment because that is the way they work and that is the way waiters get paid. And, it's the way of the world. So when you go into a certain place, that's how it works. It's just, my only problem is when you're at a different kind of place and that's not the way it works, but you're still trying to pretend like it is.
Yes.
Yeah. And I'm all down for people, I'm 100% down for service workers getting tips. I have zero problem with tipping in general. Like I'm absolutely fine with that. It's when you try to like sneak it in and put it in weird places that it doesn't sit well with me. It's like, fuck you, you know? It's like being asked to, it's like, I don't know, like, I don't go to Starbucks, but are you supposed to tip at Starbucks?
They have tip jars there. I know that for sure.
So if I go and order a cup of coffee and you like go put it on the little fucking dispenser and then bring it over, there's probably coffee people right now being like, you don't even know what you're talking about, you fucking asshole. That was a French press,
Not every Joe off the street can be a barista.
Didn't you see how they put the little heart on top with the milk? I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. I'm 100% certain of that.
You remember that meme with the dude that looks like Velma from Scooby-Doo, the hipster, and he's got his arms crossed and a scarf on, and it says like, it's not a cookie, it's a biscotto, like all those type of memes. Well, I read this thing the other day, and it was about that guy that it was about, because that was a serious photo shoot. And he spent like $120,000 on school, like college for like culinary or something like that, or his parents did. I don't know, however he paid for it.
Oh no!
And he chose to be a barista, And then like I guess at first he was really mad about that meme being made about him,
Yeah.
And then he kind of thought it was funny afterwards. But dude, if you spend okay, look, I love great coffee and all that shit. But you're setting yourself up for failure, dude. You know what I'm saying? 120 grand, and then you go in there and you make hearts and coffees and like pumpkin spice and shit. I mean, go fuck yourself. First of all, like you look like an asshole. That's not a real culinary skill. That's like, it's nice to have if you're already a great chef or something like that. It's great to have that extra skill. It just gives you that extra few percent to make you more badass, right? But if that's your only thing is making a good cup of coffee, eat shit. I'm not taking you serious. I'm not calling you a barista.
Is there really? I never thought about this. Like, I always picture that as like it's a teenager job. Is there people?
No, this dude's at least 30, man.
Well, no, I'm not talking about that guy, but like in general, is a barista I don't even. I'm talking total ignorance here because I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. But like a barista, is that a person? Is that a career? Is there like career baristas? Like, I'm the baddest fucking coffee maker on the face of the earth. Like, does that exist? That's real?
Yeah. I mean, I surely there can't be that many of them, but yes.
And the reason I'm asking is like, I mean, our restaurant's hiring and they're like, we need a barista with 15 years of experience. Is that real?
Probably. Like if you go to France and shit.
Is that like, we need somebody that can blend the shit out of our cat shit coffee.
I bet you the
milk froth on it.
There's probably one or two in every state that has like a major happening city, probably.
But I mean, these aren't like this isn't like the Hell's Kitchen chef and shit, right? These aren't like. I'm asking a serious question here.
Imagine that show, how that would go down.
Donkey, you fucked up the milk. But we still get to the bottom of this. Is that a real thing? Like, can I go to culinary school to be a barista?
I think you can, dude.
And just to make sure we have a firm understanding of terms here, a barista is someone that makes coffee, right?
Yeah, as far as I know.
Okay. Yeah, okay.
So you got decaf, caffeinated.
Have the fucking hiccups in the middle.
What's a latte like with the bubbled milk on it or the stirred milk that makes it bubbly and you pour it on top or some shit?
Yeah.
So that's like your three things, right? And then like listening to the customer. No, I said 3 Splendas, not 2. So what else? What else is going on?
I don't know, man.
Shaken, not stirred.
Because maybe you do have to have special skills to listen to all those pretentious cunts that come in there to buy that shit too, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, dude. Yeah, that's. I think I already told you this though.
Fedora wearing fucking.
Yeah. When I went in there, or I went through the drive-through the other day, and it really is called a venti in the drive-through for a large.
Yeah.
And I said it. I didn't want to. I wasn't proud of it. But I just wanted to get it over with and get my fucking coffee because I knew because I went there like a month or two before and I was like, yeah, can I get just a large black coffee? And they called it something else. They're like, they said, you mean of venti, you know? And I was like, yeah, whatever. Because they were like saying the name of the.
There's even like an alternate word for black coffee.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. It's like, it's called something else. It's like their term. And I guess it is on the board. But it's like, you don't need to reinvent the wheel, dude. Don't be an asshole. I don't need a biscotto. Just give me a fucking black coffee. How hard is that?
That's an amazing cultural phenomenon as coffee, dude. And maybe I've never been a huge coffee drinker, so I've never experienced the culture, and nor do I have any desire to. But it's just such a weird thing.
Yeah, I like coffee. I like 1 or 2 cups in the morning. I had to pick me up before we started the podcast today because I was just roughing it, man. Had a long night last night because of my own stupidity. But yes, I was tired. But I mean, other than that, dude, it's kind of like the vape culture. Did we already talk about this in another episode? Yeah, the vaping and coughing and all that. I don't know, man. Like I don't like to be a hater. You know, I don't want that energy in my life, and I don't want people to like think I'm a jerk or whatever. But I'm just having one of those days, one of those what really grinds my gears days, man. Yeah. I just, if you're a barista, you're an asshole.
I don't know, man.
If you're like 21 or under, or you know what I'm saying, like, okay, you can call yourself a barista, and I'm not going to say anything. But if you're like 30 or something, eat shit.
I think it's the version of the culture in my head that may or may not even be real that I think is the most annoying about it.
I think you're right. It's the culture that comes with it. It's not just the title, and it's the title may be
the title's the part of the culture, though. You know, it's like get the fuck out of here. It's like when you go to Subway and you have a sandwich artist. You know?
Yeah. Well, I was listening to one of Bill Burr's podcasts. This was like fucking 3 years ago, but it stuck with me because I was like, you're right. That makes sense. And he was talking about how he went to a barber shop. I guess it wasn't the one he typically goes to get his haircut. And it was like that kind of hipster style where it's sort of like the 50s thing, but everybody's got tattoos. And they kind of have the 50s haircut, but it's sort of shaved, kind of weird on the sides and all that. You know, and he said he walked in there and he's like, yeah, I think he said the guy gave him a great haircut or whatever. But he basically said, like, these people, they just do all this shit because they don't have anything going for them with their personality wise. Like, they need to claim that they're a part of this and that they're, the whole hipster mentality is like, I'm rare. And I do things that other people don't do because I'm a contrarian and I have a higher intelligence and just like all that shit that goes with being a hipster, right? Mm-hmm. And I was like, you're absolutely right. That doesn't mean I wouldn't be friends with someone like that, or at least give them a chance first, you know, because maybe that's not 100% certain all the time. But I think, you know, statistically speaking, from what I've seen and the people I've met like that, is it's true. It's like you look at him and you're like, man, that guy's like kind of interesting and weird looking. Well,
you know what's weird about all the non-conformist type cultures like that is that everyone that's a member of it looks exactly the fucking same.
It's so true,
like,
dude.
Do you remember when the goth thing got real big and it's like, I'm a fucking loner, you know, like I'm the only one like me, except for the other fucking 200 people here that look exactly like you.
The whole fucking
looks
army.
like a fucking Nine Inch Nails concert in this motherfucker, you know, just.
Dude, that reminds me. What was that? Remember that South Park episode? Like, it was forever ago. And then I think Cartman and Stan, or the two of them, they turn into Goss, and like they're sitting there on the curb, and they have their head down, they have the little bangs, and like, so much pain.
Yeah,
I'm in pain. Like that's all they say, and then he'll flick his bangs to the side every once in a while. That shit's funny, man.
You know what's funny about that one? And that was going on heavily when I was a teenager, when I was in high school. That's when that whole kind of modern goth culture really, you know, had a rise. And I always thought it was so weird and it's not because that people wanted to be like non-conformist. It's that they wanted to be pussies.
I know.
You know what I'm talking about? Like, it's not that. It's not. You know, I get it. You like things that are different and stuff, but it's like, it's like you purposefully being soft at the same time. You know, and that's one of the things I just never got. You know, yeah. It's like I not only want to look different, but I want to make sure that I'm somebody you can make fun of. And not only that, but I'm going to take it on the chin. You know what I mean? That's such a weird thing, and I don't know if that was the same across the board, like across the United States. I don't know if the goth culture all looked like that, but that was certainly the impression I got where I grew up. Is that it was just this really, you know, I want to kill myself, and life is so terrible, you know, and just not only that, but I'm weak as fuck and flabby, and you know what I mean? It's just, what the fuck are you doing?
You know what's crazy is that some dudes get laid doing that.
I know.
That's crazy, dude.
Well, and that's like a learning. It's like a learning curve for me. That was a teachable moment. Is I did not realize there were women who are attracted to complete pussies.
Yeah.
But dude, there's a whole swath of them.
Yeah.
It's kind of like they're like, oh, he's so sensitive, or you know, he's so deep. And it's like, I don't think that's what it is.
You know exactly what it is? It's the same as if, like back in caveman days, if they set up a trap for a woman or something, you know, like lured them in with like some kind of like turkey or something. I don't fucking know, whatever they
turkey
ate. With a dinosaur leg or some shit. And then as soon as she got close enough, he hit her in the head with a bone and like took over. Like that's what they're doing. They're setting a trap. They're setting an emotional trap. Like they probably don't even believe any of that shit themselves. You know, they know they're full of shit.
Oh, you think this is a ploy to get women?
Yeah, they're like, you know, I'm not that good at sports. I'm not a great athlete. I'm not really good at like being the outgoing guy or whatever. I don't really have anything interesting to say. So what I'm gonna do is
let's get out the poetry book.
Oh, dude, that was popular when I was in my early 20s. Not the poetry, but for dudes to like get really deep into wine and buy wine magazines and books and try to talk about it.
When was it that movie came out? You remember the fuck was it called? It was a movie about wine. It was like it was kind of the around the birth of this big wine craze that, you know, that's been going on for the past decade or so.
Was it like a documentary?
No, it was a movie. I want to say it was called like Bent or Tilted. I don't remember what the fuck it was called. But
that
anyway,
sounds familiar.
Yeah, there was some movie, and around that time, like all of a sudden, everybody's like a fucking wine expert, right? You know, that's when the grocery stores and all that, they started carrying like a wide variety of wine.
Yeah.
You know, it was more than just like going and getting the box or whatever, or the little tiny bottles.
Yeah. Well, there's a massive wine culture now.
Yeah, it's huge.
It's huge. Like, it never went away. I don't know exactly when it started, but yeah, you can go anywhere, dude. Just go to any grocery store, and they have like this. The Kroger by us, massive fucking wine selection. Yeah. Like it's fucking at least 5 times what you would see in a liquor store.
Yeah,
and it's just at a Kroger. You know what I'm saying? It's madness. But I've been drinking wine. I'm not a wine hipster though. Let's get that straight, okay? I drink this. It's like. What is it, 750 milliliter bottle? That's a pretty big bottle. All right. That's like, I think it's almost like 3/4. No, it's not. I don't know. It doesn't matter. It's a lot. Right?
It's a standard wine bottle.
Yeah. It's like, but it's like the bigger one, not the small one.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's $8. And it's this sangria stuff, and it's like 10% alcohol. And the truth is it tastes good. Because I've had a lot of expensive wines, and it tastes like bitter, just shittiness. And I don't want any part of it. But this shit tastes good, man. And it gets you buzzing. It gets you like where you... I'm the kind of guy nowadays, I just want to get a little buzz. You know what I'm saying? Maintain it for a couple hours, go to sleep. And it doesn't make you feel all bloated and shit like beer does, you know? It's just good, man. And but my point is it's $8 for a bottle. And it tastes way fucking better than all that expensive connoisseur shit.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't even know enough about wine to like jump into the conversation. I've had so very few.
Yeah.
But I know one thing I have delved into a little bit is the craft beer scene, which is gigantic. That's another one's huge now. Like you can be a beer snob all you want now.
Yeah.
Like I bet at my local like Kroger grocery store, I bet they sell like 200 kinds of fucking beer now.
Oh, for sure.
You know, there's just all kinds of shit.
Yeah, and everybody now is like, oh, can I have an IPA? And I've had IPA. I'm not trying to be a hipster here. I was into the craft beer thing way before it became a thing. I know I was, and I've had many IPAs, and they all taste like shit. Now I'm sure that there's people who like them, but I refuse to believe it's as many as pretend to like it. They want to be seen and they want to be heard saying, "Oh yes, I'll have your Dugendaz IPA." They just want to say it.
I don't know. I mean, I know a lot of people that say they drink IPAs. I haven't been able to get. To me, they taste kind of like if you were to take a beer and then like dip one of those fucking like green tree air fresheners in that
exactly.
motherfucker. It tastes like I would imagine it is if you eat a pine tree or something.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it tastes like
it tastes like hops. Is what
like
it
those
is.
cigarettes. Remember those cigarettes, cloves that are disgusting. That's what it tastes like to me. Is somebody dropped a couple of cloves in there, waited like a half hour, and then you drink it. That's what it tastes.
I know that I don't. I just don't have I don't have like a taste for hops. So I've brewed beer before, right? And which is pretty fun. So, but dude, like hops, like just standalone hops, to me they smell fucking terrible.
It's repulsive.
Oh, because I made beer in the house the first time I ever did it. I didn't really know. And
you had to like boil them, right?
Yeah, dude. And I boiled the hops in there. I was like, dude, my house fucking reeks, dude. I was like, I can't even imagine how this could possibly ever taste good,
Yeah.
And it was one of those smells that's so hardcore that it was in my nose for like 2 weeks afterwards. Yeah. And it's because you need to, when you do all that boiling and shit, you need to do that outside. And it would be fine. But like I did it inside, so I was like permeated with that shit, And, but yeah, I don't like hops to begin with. So to me, it was just like, whoa, this is awful. I don't even know if I'll be able to drink this afterwards.
Yeah, fuck that, dude. That's disgusting. Fucking, I don't. I got into the craft beer scene for a while, and there's a couple that I still like. But dude, if I'm gonna drink beer now, I'm gonna go back to standard issue, man. Just give me a Budweiser. Give me a Coors Light, like Brock Lesnar style,
Yeah.
I don't need all this fancy pantsy shit that makes me super full and makes me gain. Dude, I gained so much weight when I went through the craft beer phase for like a year, and I used to drink every day. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I wasn't drinking like Bud Light where it's like, 90 or 100 calories per beer. I was drinking shit that was like 200, 250 calories of beer. And I drank like 8 of them bitches every day, dude. And within like 6 months, dude, I put on like 40 fucking pounds.
Well, I've never really thought about beer, but like when you get into those, some of those, like the stouts and stuff, I mean, there is more material in that beer than there, because like one of my favorite beers is that it's a local brew one, that Buried Hatchet.
Oh yeah, dude.
Yeah, dude. But that beer, man, you could almost chew that shit. I mean, it's thick, dude. And
the great thing about that beer though is I think it's like 9.5% or 10% alcohol. It's like somewhere up there.
Yeah, it's higher. I know because I didn't realize that because I bought it because it was one of the local brews, and it comes in it's like a 4-pack of cans.
Yeah.
And I bought one and I thought I'll check it out. And one day I was sitting, I might have even been talking to you on Ventrilo or something when you lived in New Jersey, but I was, I kind of pounded one kind of quick,
Yeah.
And then I got the next one going and I was like, what the fuck is going on, And then I looked at the can and it was like, whatever the percentage was.
Yeah, it's 9 something, like 9.5.
It'll light you up, man.
Yeah. That's the thing is it is thick, but it's very tasty.
Mm-hmm.
Super tasty, and it's easy to drink those fast. And if you drink 2 of those within 1 hour, even if you're a pro, you're going to get a strong buzz, dude.
Yeah.
Because it's that strong, and it's really good, man. And when you pour that shit into a glass, dude, and you see those little dark, the bubbles and head or whatever on top, it just looks good.
Yeah.
It looks expensive, and it looks tasty.
You can tell it's just like a quality beer, like ale. Like it's thick as fuck. Yeah.
Yeah. There's another really good one from Sam Adams, and it's the cream stout.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I'm familiar.
One of the best beers I've ever had in my life, dude. I know that the beer hipster community might disagree because it's popular and people like it, but that shit is so good, man. And when you put it in, again, when you pour that into like a proper beer glass that's made for 12 ounces so that everything is symmetrical, you know how it's supposed to look, it's so appetizing, and you just want to keep ordering them, dude. Just keep drinking them, which is what I do. But I'm just, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like it's just wonderful. They're fun. Sam Adams makes a lot of good shit, man.
They do, like
calorie dense, but it's good shit.
I don't drink a ton at all, but a lot of times I will go pick up like a Sam Adams like holiday pack around around Christmas or whatever, because they have all their kind of unique beers, and some of them are pretty good. It's just like it's something a little different.
Yeah.
But now there's so many different kinds. I actually have I have a few in my fridge right now. Because I'd gone to Kroger or whatever, and they have their craft beer section where you can like build your own 6-pack or whatever.
Yeah.
So I just got a 6-pack, and I got like one of each of all the different holiday beers, because everybody puts out their Christmas, Santa stout or and all that kind of shit.
Pumpkin spice and shit.
Yeah, the pumpkin beers though, man, I want to like them, but I just don't, man.
Yeah,
like at all.
I liked it the first time I had one. I was like, man, this is good. And then I had a couple more, and it just drinking like 2 or 3 in a row, it ruined it for me. And now when I see that, I'm just like, fuck that.
Well, I think it's always the labels that get me, because I love Halloween, and sometimes they have these badass fucking labels. So I'm like, man, I'm gonna try one of those, and then I get it, and it just isn't what I want it to be. I'm like, ugh, it just And I kind of like the white chick shit a little bit of the fucking, some of the pumpkin spice stuff. I can get into it with a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Not everything they make it out of, but, some of the stuff I'm down,
You know what really pulls me in? And you've probably seen them before. It seems like for whatever reason, they always put them on the top shelf, too. And it always says Abbey on the bottle, and it's supposed to be made by monks. That's what they say. And then it has the cork on top of it. But the cork is kind of interesting because it's corked in there, but you have to unscrew like this... like wire. There's wire coming up on 4 corners. There's not corners, but you see what I'm saying?
Yeah. And
then it's twisted at the top, and you have to untwist those and then pull the cork out or something. I don't know. It's just weird. But I was doing that. I went and got one, and I was doing that shit in my living room, and I don't know if it got shook up in the car or what the fuck happened, but I fucking popped it off, and it shot up into the sheetrock of my kitchen, and I put a dent in it and scraped and fucked it up. It was like a ½ inch deep. I'm not bullshitting. Kidding. Yeah. But... that's so random. But the point of that is they get me with those labels because it has like fucking medieval knights and shit on it, and like monks like pushing carts of hay and shit. And I'm like, dude, that tastes so fucking good. I know it. And then I get it, and I get home, and it's fucking disgusting.
Yeah. I
still drank it. You pay like $10, $15 for one beer, you're drinking the shit. But it's like 30 ounces or something.
It seems it's almost true of any beer I've gotten that's had just like a really cool label is the beer was fucking garbage.
Yeah.
Like one of the IPAs I got was the bastard ones, there's like Arrogant Bastard and Ale, right, yeah. And dude, they got those big bottles, and they got the badass fucking demons and shit on them, and I'm like, that's gonna be awesome. Then it's just like like IPA garbage in there. Yeah.
Yeah. Me and you got some of that before. It was called Rogue. You remember that?
Yeah.
That's the brand name. And I think they do have some good beers. But I got one specifically because it had skeletons and pirates.
I remember that, yeah.
And then when we got home, we noticed that there was like white fungal stuff growing on the glasses. And that's on the bottles. And that's not the only time that I've seen that with that particular brand. I've seen it in many stores like that. So I don't know if that's on purpose to like set the atmosphere and tone of the bottle. But I don't
looks
think
like it came off a ship or something.
Yeah,
maybe. I remember that.
Yeah, could be. I don't know, man.
No, I don't think so.
But I do remember when I drank it and I didn't like it.
Yeah,
it was not that good. Not that good.
I don't know. I'm probably the last person that needs to be like ripping on beer, only because I don't drink that much. But I do remember that one wasn't very good. And
yeah,
there's one I shouldn't say one beer. I've had some very interesting beers when I was kind of getting into the brewing thing, because I don't drink that much. So I like the art of making beer far more than I like drinking. And the thing is, though, is I couldn't keep it up because I would make so much beer. Like 5 gallons of beer for me would last for fucking ever. It did. I had to throw a lot away. But I enjoyed making it, but going to the shops, the brewery shops, at least the one that was by us at the time, and I think they've been bought out now or sold, but those dudes were like genuine beer geeks up there that owned it. So
yeah,
they would do like brewing classes and stuff, but they would always have interesting beers on tap up there. It was something that they had brewed, and it was always kind of cool to go in because these beers would be wildly different, just like they'd be like, yeah, this one's fucking watermelon, pecan, pistachio beer, or just some weird shit, and some of them were like kind of garbage, but then some of them were pretty interesting. It's like, I've never had anything that tasted like that before,
Yeah,
and they were pretty good.
I think, dude, out of all the beers I've ever had, easily one of my favorites is a really quality one that's made with pecan. because there's a lot that say it on the label and they just don't come through.
Mm-hmm.
But I've had some, and you can really taste it. And for whatever reason, man, with all the other shit they put in beer, it just goes with it perfect.
If you have
very
like
clean.
That's one thing I've had is I can't remember who made it commercially. I know our dad made a batch of it as a pecan porter.
That shit was good,
dude. Yeah, that was probably one of the best beers that I've ever had.
Yeah, it was easy to drink.
Maybe it's Sam Adams that has a pecan porter too. I can't remember who had it. Yeah, there was another there was kind of a big name. I know we'd had it, and it was like, man, that's pretty good. Let's see if we can drum up a clone of it.
It might have been. I don't know. I know that he made the cream stout, which was good too. That Sam Adams makes. It was like, because it's like a clone recipe, right?
Yeah,
yeah, and that was good too, man. Those are good. Fuck, man. I haven't had a beer like that in a while, like a real beer.
Yeah.
Now that we're talking about it, I kind of want one, but I'm too fucking full from those delicious tacos that we had.
Yeah.
With the habanero sauce, that yellow shit.
Oh man,
I know I'm going to pay for that in a little bit.
Yeah, we got this local taco, or I say taco. It's like street food, is what they call it.
Yeah, it's like Mexican street food.
Yeah,
basically.
man, and we fortunately have run across this place, and it's kind of become our go-to pre-podcast. And
yeah, it was. What was the other place we were going to?
We were going to Jimmy John's.
Jimmy John's, the sandwich place. Yeah, I like this place better because we can like sit there and across from each other at the table and kind of talk business like two fucking mafiosos.
Yeah,
eating our tacos.
That's good stuff. This has nothing to do with that restaurant at all, but that reminds me of something. Today, and I think this was a nationwide thing, was a protest called A Day Without Immigrants. And the premises of this is, as I understand it, granted, I just read a few stories, is that people, I guess, that are not only immigrants, but people that believe that Trump is trying to get rid of all immigrants or whatever it is they believe. I'm not going to pretend to even understand all of it. But basically the premise is they don't do anything today. They don't show up for work. They don't do all this kind of stuff. And there was kind of a big deal in the news is today is a day without immigrants to see how it will impact everybody's life if, immigrants aren't around or whatever this crazy idea was. Yeah. And I just want to report that I didn't notice a fucking thing. Not a single thing in my day was any different.
I know.
And now I don't know. I did see an article that in Houston a Torchy's Tacos was shut down because of a lack of staff. So God forbid there were some people today that weren't able to get tacos for lunch, but other than that, I do believe the city survived.
Yeah, I didn't even know until you told me. So,
yeah.
I mean, it appeared that lawns were being mowed, that gas station counters were attended. I mean, I didn't see anything. Because, look, and I'm not picking on these people. I'm not an immigrant hater by any fucking means. I get it, man. You want a better life, dude. And if I would want one too. I get it. If you're not, as long as you're not a criminal. But at the same time, it's like, what are you doing, man? Like, first of all, you're identifying yourself. So you're going to have people come and arrest your ass. Like, what the fuck are you thinking,
I don't know. To me, it just seems like I get the point of it. I sympathize with the point a little bit, maybe, even though I think what they're doing it against isn't really happening per se. But
right.
But all that considered, I literally noticed nothing. And I don't know if that's because the protest wasn't very large or maybe people now know that they'll probably be all right without you. It'll be one of the two, I mean, I don't know, man.
Well, that's the thing, too, is people say, well, a lot of these people, they build our homes and do this and this. And that's true. And it seems that they do a great job most of the time, right?
Yeah.
And that's great, man. But I'm going to tell you, dude, if you quit or you go somewhere else, I promise you that there's American citizens that will take that job. I guarantee it. And this idea in their heads that there's regular poor white people or whoever it is that they assume will take these jobs, that they won't work as hard and do this. You got another thing coming, dude. There's plenty of people out there that need work or that will work fucking hard as fuck. You know what I'm saying? Just because you grew up white or not grew up white, but you know what I'm saying. It's like there's no. What I'm trying to say is there's an endless supply of people who will do labor jobs and they'll do it right and they'll work hard. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So this idea that they don't exist is fucking stupid, man. So if you have that job, keep it.
It's just I don't know. It's the idea And it's really a timing issue at this point of all these protests. It's just, I don't know, man. I'm not shitting on protests. Protest all you want all day long. I 100% support your right to do it. I feel like the way that people are protesting now is just so fucking ineffective.
Oh, it is.
And it's almost like a parody of what a protest should be.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I'm not a protest hater as long as you're like Martin Luther King
Dude,
style.
I don't hate protests at all. Like, dude, I think protesting is great. I'm not a gigantic government fucking fan here, right?
Yeah.
You know, like I'm down with it. I just feel like the way people are doing it is so
obnoxious.
It's not only obnoxious, it's completely ineffective too.
Yeah.
Like, I will bet my bottom dollar that today's Day Without Immigrants will have zero impact on anything at all.
I agree totally.
And that's what I mean. The sentiment's okay, but it was 100% ineffective. It's going to solve nothing. Nothing. Yes. Mark my fucking words. Nothing. Yep.
It did two things for those people. One, in some cases, that identified them to the authorities, and when it makes the news and shit like that.
Yeah.
And two, you lost a day's pay.
Yeah.
So if you came here trying to make a better life, or you're sending money back to Mexico or wherever, like, you just fucked yourself. Like,
it's basically like it's like martyring for nothing.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you're never going to get anything out of it.
Yeah.
And I have on my Facebook some like successful people who are of whatever, some type of Spanish, South American heritages and thing like that. But they're legal citizens. They were born here or they moved here when they were little. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And they're so stuck on this idea that these are educated people, master's degrees, accountants, all kinds of shit. There's quite a few of them. And they're stuck on this idea that a large majority of America hates immigrants, and that Donald Trump wants to kick all of them out and get rid of all of them, which maybe he does deep down, but he's already stated specifically he's not tearing families apart. He's not coming into people's homes. Right now they're looking for criminals and terrorists. That's what they're looking for, right?
As far as I know.
Yeah. And the idea that it's racist for him to pursue that, to go after these people, is fucking nonsense. That is complete fucking bullshit. That is not a racist thing to do.
Well, the thing is that and the whole illegal immigration thing it's a very complex subject. I mean, because of what else happened, what else transpired. Like, there are so many people here. Like, the numbers are unmanageable. Right. You know what I mean? Like, you're not going to do some crazy sweep and throw all the people out. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah, it's impossible.
It's impossible, right? It's that it's got to that point. But the thing is like, if let's say that it was like from our northern border and a shitload of Canadians were coming over here, is it still racist if a bunch of white people, you know what I mean? Because the impact's the same of you having all these people come across that are illegal. It's kind of the same deal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, it doesn't matter what color you are. You can't effectively pay taxes, per se. You can't integrate into our system. Like, no matter what color you are, you have the same issue. And then you stack that whole... I mean, beyond that, just kind of like the economic type and taxi impact of it, you have the possibility of bad dudes coming over and just unfiltered, unfettered. Like, I mean, just right. Anybody can come across. Now, I think it's a reach to say that that's like a serious issue. Like, I believe you do have bad people come over, and a lot of these people are Mexican citizens, that have come over and, are helping out with like drug trade and all that kind of stuff that has become like a very violent thing. And then, of course, you always have your pieces of shit that are like child molesters and murderers, and you have that garbage no matter where you're at, right? But I don't think that there's like a fucking shit ton of Muslim terrorists like coming over the Mexican border.
Right.
I mean, there may be some. I don't know, but I don't think it's like an alarming number. I could be wrong, but like I don't believe that. There's no reason to believe that is the case.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I think in those cases, it's with there's some outliers and extremists here and there that could come down from Canada or just something like that. But the main thing is controlling who comes into our country, like via airplane, is having a much closer watch on that. That's extremely fucking important, But it seems like even now that's kind of an issue because whatever the hell was going on, what was it, like 2 or 3 weeks ago? Was it LaGuardia Airport? in New York, where all the protesters were, and they shut it down for like fucking 12 hours or something.
Well, there was the what was the story? It was like somebody was on a plane, and basically they said that person wasn't on the plane. Like the where was that?
I think we're talking about two different things.
Yeah, we might be. Well, the guy got off and like, didn't he shoot some people? Yeah, he had a fucking gun in his carry-on or in his check bag or something like that. And they came back, like whatever country he came from, they were like, yeah, there was no one by that name even on the plane, or like allegedly on the plane, right? There was that scenario. And then which one are you talking about?
No, this was a few weeks ago. Remember, I think it was LaGuardia Airport. I believe that's how you say it in New York. And that's where all the protests were happening. Like, there was a bunch of protesters there, and it had to do with Trump's decision to say, okay, for the time being, it's what the Supreme Court's fighting or whatever the fuck's going on. It's from these 7 countries.
Oh, right.
These people can't come in and all that shit. And it's like, dude, it's not racist. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's a fact that there's a bunch of pieces of shit that live there that do not like us. And that's all it takes is one dude out of thousands and thousands to come over here and fucking and set off a bomb or go stabbing people or shooting people in the fucking street.
This is the religious thing on that is brutal. It's brutal, dude. Because like you have to be able to profile on that.
You have to,
dude. Everything in my like libertarian sensibilities tells me that you don't do that, and I in my heart I agree. You don't like profile people like that, but at the
an ideal world,
in an ideal world, but like I think statistically you have to be honest about what's going on too. Like you have to say, like, I mean, it's one thing, you can have whatever religion you want, but if your culture is literally anti our culture, we have to take that kind of seriously. Now at the same time, and I don't know what the intelligence reports are, I think a lot of the fear is probably overblown with that, like, because I mean, it's not like we have shit blowing up around here all the fucking time. That's just really not the case, you know what I mean? You got some rogue dipshit every once in a while that shoots up somewhere, and that's bad. I absolutely agree. But most recently, that hasn't been people coming off planes from fucking, anywhere. That's been people here, That's been homegrown people. So that's a tough subject, man. And I don't know. I mean, I get the whole Syrian refugee thing. Like, if you're mass importing people that are predominantly of a culture that is anti-American, you do run some risk there. If you're just indiscriminately bringing in thousands and thousands of people, there's potential there. There truly is. Well,
if you look at England, whenever you have this mass influx of a certain type of people that think a certain way, they'll probably lay low and kind of fall in line with that country's rules for a certain amount of time. But before long, they're going to start spewing the victim mentality and why can't we do this as our culture and our religion, even though it's against your laws. And they just start, and it just turns into a madhouse, dude.
Yeah,
look at England, dude.
In all reality, there has to be some sense of order with all of that. You can't come in and be, force people to dress certain ways and force people to think certain ways. You just can't. You can't do it, and not here. You can't. Yeah.
I'm thankful we live in Texas, because I feel like this is the last state where that could even be a possibility.
This would be like the final stronghold, maybe. But it's just like, you can't do that, man. Yeah. And I mean, that's just something we have to be real honest about. Is that something we're going to allow to happen? And I'm not saying that several thousand Syrian refugees are going to tilt the scale either way on that. Because like the thing with refugees is, that's fucked up too, man. Because like, if these are people that are in a country that's just being fucking decimated and like they literally have nowhere to go, like, my heart tells me yes, we should absolutely be helping people in that scenario. But then we have the complexity of religion here that and as much as I hate to say it, I mean, it's an honest question. I mean, even if you don't act on it, it's an honest question to ask. Is that something that's compatible with American values and with our way of life?
Yeah, and I want to say the answer to that is no.
All the way. And I don't know. It's just like it's like we talked about before. I mean, there is definitely varying degrees of religious
extremism.
Not even extremism, but just I mean, you have extremism on one end, but then you have the I'm a Muslim by word type. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
It's a difference between like, you know, I claim I'm a Muslim and I pray 85 times a day and you know, want my women to wear, you know, the hijab or whatever. So there's like such a wide scale. The problem is that we don't, I guess, know where anyone is on that scale.
Right.
So
it's impossible to tell.
Yeah, that's such a, like,
in many cases.
That's such a brutal topic, but
it is. But I know I haven't really experienced a lot of Muslim culture. I haven't really been around it, right? But when our dad was in the hospital and we were up there all the time, I remember that it was prayer time, and this dude got down on his rug and started doing the prayer in front of the coffee maker. And I was stressed out as it was. You know, our dad was very sick, and we pretty much knew it was inevitable that he was going to pass away. And, you know, we'd all been up for many, many hours, and I just needed some coffee, man. And just him sitting there doing that in front of the coffee maker, and there's multiple people waiting to get coffee, I'm just like, fuck you, man. You know what I mean? Like, this is bullshit. You know this is bullshit. You could have done that over there, but you just had to do it right this second at this spot. That's where I get the whole freedom of religion and thing like that, but that doesn't give you the right to be an asshole when you're out in public. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Or like, I mean, it also makes me wonder, like, does he just want everybody to see him? You know, does he want everybody to watch him do it? But I don't know. It really fucking pissed me off.
There's a big difference between freedom of religion and freedom of speech and freedom from ridicule. You know what ridicule is being, because you are free to do all kinds of things, but people are also free to react to all those things.
Exactly.
You know? And actually, that brings me to a point that I wanted to say on the last podcast, and I totally forgot. So I think it was 2 back. We were talking about Milo Yiannopoulos.
Milo.
Yeah, we were talking about Milo. And I was listening back to that show when I was editing it, and it sounded like at one point I was going to a point where I was saying that it almost sounded like I was implying that people should not be able to protest Milo. I want to be very clear that that's not my thought process. And sometimes when you're recording on these things, your mind jumps around. So just to be clear on my position for that is I absolutely believe people should be able to protest Milo all they fucking want. What I was doing there was disagreeing with them and saying I believe what they were doing is stupid. Right. So like, yeah, but I would never infringe on their right to protest or to do any of that.
Yeah.
So just to be clear on that.
That dude's going to be on Bill Maher's show on HBO.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. Did it already happen? Or
I don't know. Or is it this weekend? Maybe.
It might be. Yeah.
I saw a thing about it, but I don't know. But I'll probably definitely check it out.
Yeah. I don't like Bill Maher most of the time, but he did do that documentary on Netflix, and I think it's called Religulous. Have you seen that?
I haven't seen it.
It's actually really good, and he makes a ton of fair points, you know, and they're negative about religion, and he goes to all these different groups, and I think he goes to a few different countries, and he's asking them the hard questions, and when you see these people kind of melt under the pressure, and they're like, I am full of shit, basically. You know what I mean? And I really respected that he did that, because it took guts, because when you do something like that, you can ruin your career. But because he's the kind of guy he is, and he started as a stand-up comedian and stuff, he can kind of get away with that. You know what I mean?
I'm not a Bill Maher fan, but there has been times definitely that I've enjoyed his show, only because one thing he will do is he will bring on all kinds of people to debate topics and stuff like that. And sometimes he's more reasonable than, you know, his caricature might you know, make you think. And it's not that I agree with him on everything, but what I do enjoy about it is they get on there and they have heated discussions about real topics. You know, like I do appreciate that. You know,
yeah, it does seem that. I do appreciate it, but I mean, I can't quote what he said or whatever, but he said things where I'm like, dude, come on, that's fucking bullshit.
Did you see the fucking one just recently? It was, or at least there was more news stuff about it recently where Ben Affleck was on there.
I have seen it.
Trying to debate with Sam Harris.
Yes.
Get the fuck out of here.
He embarrassed himself terribly.
Sam Harris made like everybody should go watch. I'll put it on the blog when we post this. Sam Harris made a point, and they were talking about Islam and all that, and then he was making a point that it's completely different to criticize Islam, that you're not criticizing a race of people and all this. Like, Sam just got done making this point, and then that fucking moron Affleck's all, see, you guys are fucking racist, basically. It's so stupid. It is cringeworthy. It is
Yeah.
brutal.
That's what they call virtue signaling.
Yeah, you know what my
Yeah.
favorite part about that is I've seen a few like Sam Harris interviews since then, and he's all, "Well, if Batman was here."
Oh yeah. Oh, that's funny.
No, but it's so telling of like how people can't have an honest conversation. So whether or not you agree with Sam is irrelevant. It's the point that he made a very, very clear and concise point, and then it was completely misconstrued by Ben Affleck. Like, Ben Affleck wasn't even in the same league of conversation. Like, he completely, if I didn't know better, it would seem purposefully like misconstrued the subject, chose to not listen to anything that was said, and then reframe it in this weird straw man way. And that, to me, it's like a projection of how all conversations happen. All public conversations happen now.
Yeah.
It's just absolute bullshit, and people not even talking about the same thing. Because one side, it's either they're too stupid to wrap their head around it, or they're just got their head so far up their ass that they have to like get out with their bullshit. You know,
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but
Have you ever seen or heard of the Breakfast Club? It's kind of like it's like a hip hop and R&B type of station, but they do a live radio show, and they'll have like rappers or it's usually people within the black community, like black leaders and stuff like that.
I never heard of it.
I think it's on XM Radio, so it's unfiltered, and it's sort of like a podcast, but it's like a radio show. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And they had Damon Wayans on there, who I loved that guy when I was a kid. You know what I'm saying? But this kind of ruined it for me when he was on there, because they were talking about race relations in America and shit. And the way that he was making his points, it was like as he was making them, a light was going off in his head where he's like, "Oh my God, I'm a fucking moron." But he had to stay with it. And the worst thing is you could kind of see it in the faces of the people in the studio with him. They're like, "Oh, okay." But in their mind, they think, "Okay, this is Damon Wayans. I'm just going to agree with him, even though he's a fucking moron." You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
But just because you have a lot of money and you're a talented actor or comedian or whatever, that doesn't mean that you're a social philosopher, or that, you know what I'm saying, or a politician.
Right, yeah.
And you basically, what it looks like is you've just had people agreeing with you because you're Damon Wayans, not because you have a great idea. But that happens with everybody, like Matt Damon and like all these other people, Tom Cruise, you know what I'm saying? Is they have all these yes men around them, and they just say dumb shit, and then they'll fight anybody who disagrees with them, because they get so much support from social media and their little immediate crew.
Yeah.
And they just stay with the idea, like Ben Affleck.
Right. Yeah, that whole thing with Ben Affleck is so brutal to watch. It's just, I know I just said it's exactly what the conversations are today. You can watch that and understand why we can't get anything fucking done.
Yeah.
And why we can't have an honest conversation about anything.
Right.
Like, watch that, and that it's almost like it's a demo of that. Like, you would have to purposefully put that together to be so stupid.
Right, and because of the society we live in, if you have a leader of some kind that, say, is like Ben Affleck, if you have enough people on his side that co-sign with what he's saying, even though that any logical person can see that it's total bullshit, it doesn't matter. That person still gets a say-so, and they still get their way a lot of the time. And as you just said, it just slows everything down. It makes everything bullshit.
It does. So we're at about time now, so I think we'll go ahead and wrap this one. But I just want to go off with one final point, and that's fuck Ben Affleck.
Yeah. And you know what? I heard that the Batman Superman movie fucking sucks.
Yeah. Fuck you, Ben Affleck, and your fucking intellectual fucking deficiencies. And
how dare you, first of all, think that you can be fucking Batman, you cocksucker.
not only that, but actually I do want to thank him for going on national TV and thinking he could debate with Sam Harris. Way to go, dumbass.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Please do it again.
Yeah, please. That's it, guys. Go ahead and run through the stuff. If you want to leave us a voicemail, got any comments on anything we've said, the number is 804-557-4691. As always, check out the website and blog, and I'll post a video of this interaction at jakeandjohnshow.com. You can check us out on Twitter and on Facebook at Jake and John Show. And if you want to help support the show, you're enjoying it, if you could, subscribe on whatever platform you're on, leave a review. And then we also have our Patreon now, where you can see a video recording of this episode and the past few. And that's patreon.com/JJ Show. It's a $1 subscription. You get access to all that content. And whatever else we come up with here in the future. So anyway, I think that's about a wrap. John, you got anything else?
No, man, I'm empty.
All right, everybody. Well, thanks for listening. Take it easy.
Yes. May the barista be with you.